Hey, welcome. My name is Kaylee. This will be a gentle yoga practice. We're going to focus on the spine and the shoulders today. So when you're ready, you can meet me in a seat. And before we even get going, I'm going to suggest just giving your shoulders a little rub, a little gentle kind of connection there. It might seem goofy and weird, and that's fine. But there's like a physiological benefit. We're stimulating some of those mechanoreceptors, kind of gently turning on some of the muscles and some of the neurophysiology that is integral to the joint spaces. So take a moment, and then when you're ready, go ahead and drop your hands into your lap. You can turn the palms up, you can turn the palms down. Whatever feels most natural is great. Feel free to let the eyes soften or close. And then take gentle stock of whatever sensations arise in your body. You might feel sensation in the shoulders, maybe some residual tingling after that little self-massage, but you might also have sensation showing up somewhere entirely different. Just notice. See if you can sit just a little bit taller, perhaps drawing your belly button toward your lower back so there's space there. Without straining, maybe you shrug the shoulders up to the ears, take a big breath in. Open mouth, exhale, let the shoulders melt down your back. Blink the eyes open. And then drop your right ear toward your right shoulder without leaning the body. So see if you can keep the rest of your spine still and just tip the head to the right gently. That left elbow, left shoulder stays heavy. You can stay here or play around with tipping the chin downward or upward. In the spot in your neck where this stretch feels productive, where it feels like a stretch, but where it doesn't feel like a strain, where it doesn't feel like stress. At least in my attempts to feel happier in my shoulders and upper back, I've noticed that like less is more. Sometimes there's we're coming from this place of wanting to feel better and open up through those shoulders that can feel so tight and tense that maybe we pull and get a little bit overzealous, I'll say, in some of these stretches. Now, honestly, give yourself permission in this practice today just to experiment with doing the minimum amount necessary to create some space. Last couple moments on this side, you can stay here, or if you'd like, with all that in mind, to bring your right arm over the top of the head so that the right fingers are just gently somewhere around the right or left ear, or the left side of your neck. You can play around with that. And not pulling with that hand. The hand is so soft, it's just a little overpressure. And then if you still want a little bit more, make sure you're sitting up tall and perhaps reach the left arm out to the side. You can also create peace fingers with your left hand and bring those peace fingers somewhere outside of your left hip. You deepen your breath, breathing into any pockets of tension, find space in your jaw and your cheeks. If you've got your right hand over your head, bring your right peace fingers to your brow center and then guide your head back up through neutral. Bring both hands to your knees or your thighs. Pause and breathe. And when you're ready, let the left ear drift down toward the left shoulder. Actually, come back through the center. Let's shrug the shoulders up toward the ears. Take a big breath in, just a little reset here. And then let it go. Shoulders melt down your back. If it feels good to take a couple shoulder circles, feel free to add those in. When you're ready, keep the chest still, keep the shoulders level, and left ear moves toward the left shoulder. I'm going to suggest that you stay here in this version of the stretch for a handful of breaths. And even if you intend to add those extra elements in, you just notice some of the more subtle sensations. Notice how your body's responding to the stretch. Continue to find a sense of heaviness in your right elbow. Continue to let your right shoulder blade feel heavy on the back of your ribs here. And then maybe if you choose, you can take your left arm over your head, applying the gentlest bit of overpressure with your left hand to somewhere around the right ear or the right neck. And if you choose to add on from here, you could take your right peace fingers somewhere outside of your right hip. Typically, the further you move those fingers back behind you, the more you'll feel it through like the top back of your shoulder blade. You can experiment with that option. Another option is to just extend the right arm out to the side with your palm flexed. When you're ready, bring your left hand toward your left temple to bring your head back through center. And then both hands to the lap. Take a breath or two. Notice the sensations in the side of the neck as they perhaps relax a little bit, right? So you get that big rebound immediately after coming back to neutral after a stretch, and then it gradually starts to dissipate. See if you can stay with the sensation until it's pretty much all the way gone. So it gets softer and more subtle. And when you're ready, you can blink the eyes open, meet me on your hands and your knees. Start with cat-cow in your tailbone only. So a little pelvic tuck. Tilt the tailbone down toward your knees. Feel your belly button gently pulling inward toward your lower back. And then keep the ribs, keep the head, keep the neck where it is, but tip the tailbone up toward the wall behind you, or even toward the ceiling, or maybe where the ceiling and the wall behind you meet. Let your belly soften and get heavy. Do that again, a little tuck of the tailbone. Feel the hips moving, the core engaging, but the ribs are still. And then tilt the tailbone up. So take a couple more of those little pelvic tucks and tilts. You might even feel as you tuck the tailbone, your legs, your quads engage a bit, your glutes. And then we're going to move into a full cat-cow, try and segment it out. So tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin to the chest, round your spine, press into your hands, give your chin a gentle shake side to side, letting gravity help decompress anything in the neck, relaxing the jaw. And then we're going to reverse that. So tail tilts up, chest melts through the arms, lift your chin, finding cow. Take a big breath in. And then cat pose as you exhale. Really articulate segment by segment of the spine. Back to cow. Breathe in. Imagine pulling the heels of the hands gently towards your knees. And then cat again as you exhale. Imagine tractioning your hands toward the top of your mat. Take a couple more here, just moving through these two shapes, feeling how your spine's responding. Noticing the muscles alongside the spine, the muscles of the core, shoulders, arms. And then once you get back through center, let's find a neutral spine. We're going to keep the right hand down and the right knee down, but extend your left leg back behind you and lift your left arm up. Start to draw some circles with your left arm. Find a path of movement that feels good in your left shoulder. So you can keep the left fingers relaxed. You can bend the elbow if you'd like. And then switch the direction of those circles. Nice, easy movement here. Let's take that left arm up and toward the space in front of you. Start to open the chest toward the left side of your space or even toward the ceiling. And then you're gonna bend your left elbow, pull it down toward the left side of your ribs. Keep going, straighten that left arm out and corkscrew your left arm behind your low back. You might find the right thigh with the left fingers. You might just bring your left hand to your lower back with the palm facing away from you. So find what works for you. And let the right side of your head drop. Let your right ear really drop down toward your right shoulder. And then we're slowly gonna unwind this. Little musical direction on my mat today, reaching that left arm up, drawing a big circle, and then stretching up and open, kind of rainbowing the ribs and the left side of your waist up toward the ceiling. Breathe in. Child's pose as you exhale. Take your time. Your knees could be wide, they could be narrow. Might feel good to flip the palms upright, especially that right hand just did quite a bit of work. And then take 3 rounds of breath here. And finish that 3rd exhale. And when you're ready, slide back to your hands and your knees. This time we're going to take a C shape with the spine. Keep your ribs where they are for now, but bump your hips toward the right, like you're trying to bring your right hip toward the right side of your rib cage. And then press your ribs to the left a little bit more. You can even imagine that you're pulling your right hand back toward your left knee and pushing your left hand toward the top right corner of your mat. So we're C curving the spine. The crown of the head is pointing over toward the top right corner of your mat. And then come back to the center and swap it out. Bump the hips over to the left. Pull the left hip toward the bottom of your left ribs. You might even find a little bit of oblique engagement there. And then energetically, if that kind of hand positioning made sense to you, imagine pulling the left hand toward your right knee and pressing your right hand over out in front of your left fingertips. Let's bump it side to side, just nice easy movement. Totally fine if it doesn't end up making a C curve in your body. And then from here, we're going to set up that side plank variation on the other side. Left hand stays down, kick your right leg back, reach your right arm up, and then take some circles with that top arm. It's really helpful here to make sure that your bottom wrist is directly beneath your bottom shoulder. Switch the direction of those circles, breathe in and breathe out. Try and find a lot of space from your right ankle all the way up through the crown of the head or through the right fingertips. Keep your right arm long for a moment. Big stretch to the side body here as you breathe in, and then bend your elbow, pull it toward the side of your ribs, or just straighten the right arm out. And then either corkscrew that right hand to your lower back, or you can reach around and try and find your left hip or thigh. Let your left ear drop toward your left shoulder and breathe. And notice if there's any way you can adjust your body here so that this feels productive, so that you feel stable. Like a slow motion rewind, start to release that bind, stretching right arm up and over your head. Breathe in as you open up through the whole right side body, stretch the underarm, stretch the side waist. And then child's pose as you exhale. Option to turn the palms to face up. 3 deep breaths again. Start to walk the hands back toward the knees so that you can have the seat back on your heels. And from here, Reach your arms straight up. They might be out in a Y shape. They might be straight up in line with the shoulders. Either way is fine. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, pull the hands behind your head and then clasp the hands back behind your head and neck. Round your spine, bring your elbows toward each other. Think cat in your back here. We're going to release that forward fold, reach upward, take a big breath in. So long inhale. Maybe you arch your spine, send your tailbone back, lift the chin up. And then neutral spine as you bring your hands back behind your head. Exhale, curling in, rounding toward the end of that out breath. Couple more times like that. Inhale, reach up. Little cow through the back, extending. Exhale, slowly bring the hands behind the head for your cat variation. Again, breathe in as you open, stretch through the underarms. And then exhale, interlace your hands. Pause here. Maybe you don't fold quite as far forward, but start to lean forward a little bit. And then use your hands to manually move your head side to side. Feel into the space in your back. See if you can find some space in your upper back, the back of the neck. Same thing here. We're not actually pulling with the hands, just using the weight of the hands as a little overpressure. And slowly start to lift it back up. Let's keep the hands where they are, but press the back of your head into your hands as you arch your spine, point the elbows upward, big back bend here. Breathe in. And then neutral spine, bring your hands to your thighs, palms up or down. Find a neutral spine, really reach the crown of the head straight up toward the ceiling. Let your chin and your nose be level. And just notice the sensations in your body here again. From here, when you're ready, blink your eyes open. Last little bit before we're on our backs for Shavasana. Extend the legs out in front of you. Might feel good to pedal out the knees. They've been bent for a little bit. And then we're going to set up for a seated spinal twist. So let's keep the left leg long. Bring your right knee in. And then step your right foot outside of your left knee. It doesn't have to be up really close. It can be kind of far. Usually somewhere right outside the knee works best for a lot of folks. Bring your right fingertips back behind you. Lift your left arm up. Take a breath. And then hook that right knee with your left elbow. You can make a hook and push, or you can kind of use the elbow against the shin. So this is a little bit gentler. It's a little bit less pulling and pushing. And if you've got some tension that you're working through, this might be the way to go. If everything feels nice and copacetic, you can bring that elbow outside of the knee and press against the knee to twirl your chest open. Wherever you land, come back to the breath. As you inhale, look toward your front shoulder. And as you exhale, look toward your back shoulder, deepening that twist ever so slightly. Couple like that, breathe in. If the rotation of the neck feels fussy, just skip it. Hold your head in one position that feels good. On an inhale, look forward if you're not, and then untangle that leg. Let's bring your hands back behind you for a moment. Point your toes, feel the stretch in the fronts of the shins and the ankles. And then flex your feet, curl the toes toward your knees. Maybe you even lift the heels up, really stretching through that plantar fascia and the connective tissue that runs along the back of the calves and the back of the thighs. And find neutral with your feet, flop them out a little bit. We're just going to take that twist set up on the other side. So left knee comes in and bring that left foot wherever outside your right leg works for you. Left fingers are going to come back behind you. Reach your right arm up, root down through your sit bones. Maybe you shift around and adjust so that you can find that firm connection between sit bones and your mat, or if you're sitting on a prop. And then twist outside of that knee. Remember, creating like a little hook with the elbow is a great version, or bringing the elbow outside. And then if that's the case, we're pressing dynamically knee into elbow and elbow into knee to keep the integrity of the twist, especially in your abdominals and your lower back. As you inhale, look forward. As you exhale, take your eyes back. Couple of big breaths here as you take that exaggerated no with your chin. Or you find a spot where it feels most comfortable for the neck to be relatively still. And breathe there. On an inhale, bring your chin forward if it's not. And then untangle the legs. This time bring the legs a little bit wider and flop the feet in and out. Hands back behind you gently. Let the feet and the ankles relax. Right. Bend your knees. We're just going to do one roll down into Shavasana. So you can bend the knees, round the spine, reach the arms forward, tuck the chin toward the chest. So we've got a big cat back happening here. Create a lot of space between the vertebra. Really breathe into that stretch. Notice if there's areas that don't feel as spacious. Totally normal, but see if there's a way that you can create a sense of space there. And then bit by bit, as slowly as you can, articulating one segment of the spine at a time. When your head drops, reach your arms back up over your head. Take a big breath in through your nose. Fill up, fill up, fill up. And then open mouth, exhale, let it go. Finding Shavasana or any other resting pose where your body feels as comfortable as possible. Traditionally, Shavasana, we practice on the back. You can also roll onto your side or onto your belly or take legs up the wall if you'd rather. And take a couple more moments to allow for some shifting, some fidgeting, some adjusting of the body. And then let yourself drop into total stillness. Everything except for the movement of your breath becomes still. In that stillness, allow yourself to observe as if you're standing back at a little distance, or maybe watching through a lens or watching as if you're watching a movie. Observe the sensations in your body. Observe any thoughts that float or arise or pop into your mind. Just continuing to give yourself space to witness whatever is arising here. And see if you can hold everything gently, cultivating this sense of equanimity with the sensations that maybe feel really good, as well as the sensations that perhaps don't feel so good. Cultivating calm quality in your mind around the thoughts that arise that are easy or joyful, as well as thoughts that arise that are more challenging or uncomfortable. We'll stay here just practicing, witnessing this human experience for another moment or two. When you're ready to move on, you can start to add a little bit of movement or take some deeper breaths without any rush. Meet me in a seat, being your time to get there in a way that feels really aligned for you. When you land in a seated position, maybe you shrug the shoulders a couple times. Let's actually do that. So I like to bring the fingertips to the sides of the ribs so that I can feel the movement of the ribs and feel the lift of the ribs. You can join me there. It's like giving yourself a little hug. As you take a big breath in, feel the ribs inflate as the lungs fill. Feel the ribs press up against the fingers. Let your ribs lift. Let your shoulders lift toward your ears. Really kind of scrunch up through the shoulders. Breathe in. Open mouth, exhale, let it all go. All right. Thank you for spending some time. I hope that you feel well, and I hope to see you again real soon.